Hey legends, welcome to the Pot Noodle on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host Jared, and joining me after a long break, Liam's back. Everyone, how you going, Liam?
Good. Apologies for the absence, everybody. Well, cut straight to the chase. I was working 7 days a week for about 3 months and finally managed to get enough money together to fly over to Scotland sometime soon. So no more of that. And we've now got time to do the show again.
Yeah, glad you're back, Liam. No stress. We all know life comes first and all that, so that's the main thing. As long as you're healthy, happy, all that good stuff, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. The podcast will be there when you're ready. So glad to have you back on, and yeah, hope everyone tuning in had a great Easter. I completely forgot until you messaged earlier, Liam, that today's Monday. Let's be honest. I don't know what, for some reason I thought it was a Sunday because, work tomorrow and that. So, and then
I
you
think the
messaged,
game being Saturday didn't help, because you think football's usually on a Saturday. So it's, yeah.
yeah, I don't know what it was, to be honest with you, but it just completely threw me. But yeah, it's one of those ones where I completely forgot about it. So, going to be a bit of a random pod here tonight. We've got about three talking points, and then me and Liam are given tether to just go wherever we want with this conversation. This could end up a bit messy. It could be car crash podcasting right here. It could also be decent.
Oh.
Who knows?
I don't know. Do you think we will ever top my when in Rome rant from the COVID season?
Oh hell no! That's there's no chance in hell that one is ever going to get beaten. So absolutely zero chance. So yeah, just thought we'd start off with a bit of a Rickroll joke in the podcast title, thinking see if the hashtags help us. Never gonna give up, never gonna let us down. Considering the first thing I saw this morning because I didn't wake up for the game because I completely forgot what day it was, for me was, oh, Celtic won 2-1. And I go, red card. Ah, Ashley. Diddle, diddle, where's that thing for, Rick Astley sort of thing. So I thought, yep, that's a bit of a joke there. I have no idea what the
See,
poor.
I said that to my dad last night. We were watching the game and he got the red card. And I said, it's a shame for that boy because he's never given up. He's never let them down.
I sent this a
And my dad's
screenshot of
like,
it.
what do you mean? It just went right over his head.
I screenshot that and sent it to my brothers. And the
Uh,
exact thing I said to him was, looks like he did give up and let Dundee down.
well, we're thinking along similar lines here.
So we're getting there. So yeah, that poor fella. We're not quite at the level where I can use the thing there what you want, but yeah, that poor fella, like having a name like that. Was it Ryan Ashley? There you go. Yeah, learnt something new today. But yeah, for us going into the game against Dundee, yeah, a bit of an interesting one. Looks like it was a game of two halves again, Liam, where our starting lineup we had Sinisalo, Scales, Trusty, Tierney, Donovan at the back, middle of the park, Oxlade Chamberlain, McGregor, and Nigren, and then up front was Kensvara, Yang, and where'd he go again? There he is, Days and Maid, obviously. I just scrolled the thing the wrong way. So looking at that lineup, going into it, I'm thinking every time I've seen Colby Donovan play, I like the cut of his jib. I think he's a decent player, right? I think he's got a good future. I've said it before that we've got when I thought was hoping we'd keep Arahau for the rest of this season and either extend him on loan next season or having AJ, depending on what happens. Does he move on after the World Cup? Whatever, right? So I thought Donovan's a long-term prospect, but I wanted him loaned out next season so he can play regular first-team football. And whether that's in Scotland or whether that's over in, say, somewhere like Belgium,
yeah.
perfect. That'd be a good league for him to develop in. Now, I still, after this game, think the same thing, but I know there's a player there. Like, it's just an unfortunate situation with the penalty conceded, but I'm sure we'll get to that later on. But like going into the game, like he was the only name in the starting lineup there that I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how he plays. I don't know how your
Yeah.
thoughts were going into it, but yeah, that
No, I agree. I think that if Araujo's out and Johnson's still out, um, Donovan has shown enough that he's a better bet than Ralston at the moment, and that's no disrespect to Tony Ralston. commitment to the cause is unquestioned, but I just think Donovan's a better player. So,
Yet Ralston's going to the World Cup.
hi.
That's a funny thing for you to think about there, Liam.
Yeah.
Tony Ralston, World Cup participant. Anyway, back to what you were saying.
No, I just I think Donovan is the better of the two, but obviously Ralston's experience counted yesterday when he came on as well. You know, I think he was solid when he came on, and you know, I wouldn't say a bad word about the guy. He might some people might not think he's Celtic class, but I just like I like his commitment and I like his attitude. So
Yeah, we've got some comments here. So, Heavy Vibes is saying young Colby Donovan can't pass the ball. Well, that's one of my other main talking points I want to get to later. It's not just him, mate. Heavy Vibes, old backline, they can't pass the ball to save themselves. It's absolutely disgusting watching that. And second half in particular, whew, dude. But,
yeah,
and then you've got Andrew Galea saying nothing wrong with Ralston. I think he's a good trier. I think he's good to keep around the club for Europe, for the quotas for that. But it's one of the things that I don't want him to be a block to a good young prospect coming through. And eventually
yeah.
he might get to the point where, like with Stephen Welsh, where he's at the exact same point where is he happy to be a career backup at Celtic, or does he want to go and make a career for himself, overseas? And when I look at it, perfect example of that is Jack Hendry. He was with us, he couldn't get a game. He went to Belgium, did well, got a move, then got another move. And then I see footage of him the other day, Musa Dembele scoring against Brendan Rodgers' team in Saudi, and there's Hendry giving Musa a cuddle. So he's playing over there with him again. So a Ralston and Welsh in that sort of book there where they go, maybe it's time to move on to try and make something of their career and actually play, or they want to be that career one club player on the bench. I don't know. You have to ask them.
I mean, it's kind of it's a bit like the Scott Bain argument that we had last season, where I said, you know, I don't want anybody at Celtic who's happy being a backup. And if that's the case with Ralston and Welsh, then yeah, I do think they should be moved on. Because I want every first team squad member to believe that they can fight their way into that first team.
Absolutely.
No room for back numbers.
What we'll do then, Liam, is we'll go through the game and then we'll jump onto that topic right there. I'll get the squad list up and we'll go through it and say, does this player have starting potential? And we'll go through it as a squad and go and just look at it from that point of view. Do they have potential to be a regular first team starter, or do they have the potential to challenge the first team starter next season? And we'll have a look at it and go, okay, if you have that ability, when we want to keep them. If they don't, we should be looking to move them on. So we'll go through that once we finish the game. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, good shout.
So yeah, for me, back to the first half, I thought if we took our opportunities, we could have been 3 up at the half quite comfortably. Like not making out like it's easy for anyone here, but
We should have been out of sight, no question.
like one of the things I put on one of the topics was are strikers rubbish, or is it our system? And we'll get into that as well later in the pod, but far out, like watching that game back, it is frustrating. Like all season, I've been like, our wing play's been good, our defence has been solid, our midfield has been the weakest spot all season. For the first time, but honestly, in my opinion, for the first time, I think we found a midfield that actually has balance. In Kelmack, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Nigren. You've got a 10, you've got 2 box-to-box guys who can alternate. So if Kelmack goes for a wander, Ox will jump in and does 6. And they can alternate. So it actually gives us the balance that we need. So for me, honestly, that was the first time I thought our midfield has looked competent, at least for the last 6 months. With that being,
I would agree.
So with that being in mind, the 2 biggest issues for me in this game were our defence constantly just pinging the ball around the back and dicking around with it all game, and our strikers being absolutely terrible. I don't know what your thoughts were, Liam, but first half looked pretty good, except we didn't take chances. Second half, yeah.
See, I think it's maybe, and I get why people are saying this, right? But I think it's maybe a wee bit too simplistic to just say, "Oh, Shvanchara's crap," right? Because the positions that he got into in order to have those chances, that's a good striker that gets to those positions. You know, Kyogo used to do that all the time, right? Kyogo would be getting to those positions every game, but he might only score half of them, right? But at that time, we were cruising in the league, so it didn't matter. But now that it's vital that we every goal is a potential title decider, it's Svanchara's not going to get that same leeway that Kyogo did because I think their shots to goal ratio is probably similar.
Can I just jump on that for a second, Liam?
Sure.
What we're looking at as well is we shouldn't be looking to compare Chansvara to Kyogo or to anyone else. Where we should be looking at comparing him to, and this is where I think it's on us, is when Adam Eder came in the first time for that 6 month loan end of the season, and he pretty much single-handedly turned the season around, won us the league, right?
Yeah.
That's the sort of impact guy these loan players coming in my opinion. That's what we were looking for, not what's being dished up. So that's
Yeah.
the baseline what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. The only one that did that was Araujo, and now we're without him till the end of the season. Shvanchara shows flashes of it, but the other guys they've not even threatened to do anything. I mean, it's like it's a cliche and a joke, whatever, but particularly that game at Ibrox where Mvuka came on, it really did remind me of that George Weah's cousin thing from the 90s. Was it
Ali
Souness
Dia.
signed him for Southampton?
Yep.
And it was like the guy had obviously never seen a football before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually brilliant. anything to piss Souness off, it's great. But
Oh,
yeah,
aye.
the worst thing though, Lamb, is we were going to sign Mvuka. We were actually the only one we are going to pay money for was him. And he's the worst of the
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's the thing. He is the worst of the bunch, and yeah, he's the only one that we actually had a chance of signing permanently. It's really,
Yeah, it's pretty
but that's
bad.
the thing as well. It's like, who do you blame for that? Because the board have basically got rid of everybody that you could blame for it. We're on our third manager of the season now. We've sacked the head of recruitment. We've sacked the head of development. It's the board are the only ones left because they've sacked everybody else. It's like, who can you blame now? You can't
Well,
blame Martin O'Neill because he had about 10 minutes notice before the transfer window opened. So, you
that's
know,
the thing, Liam. Like, I agree with you. Who can you blame? Because there's no head of recruitment, there's no head of scouting, there's no director of football. So those would be the guys that would be in charge of that. Identifying, scouting, presenting them, and putting together a list to go to the management team and the money men and saying, these are the players we like the look of. This is what they would cost for the transfer fee. This is what their wage demands would be. And we've had some unofficial chats off the record here with their agents on, are they interested? And these are the ones who are interested. These are the ones that we might have to offer a bit more or guarantee we're going to make the Champions League to get them in the door or give them signing bonuses or whatever, right? So they're going to get all that info and put it together. They're the guys that you would look at. On top of that, the next run is you normally would look at it and go, okay, if we don't have that, or at the same time when you have that, I had a meeting, I sat in on a presentation at Melbourne Victory a little while back, who Tony Bloom owns the same level of shares there as he does with Hearts, and he did the same thing at Hearts as he did here. So I've got an understanding on how they work. They have their balance with Jamestown Sports Analytics and their scouts identifying players and then going and looking at them, but at the same time, they have their trusted agent network. Which agents have you dealt with in the past who have got, or people that you've got a relationship with who have those people on the books that you can talk to? Dudu
yeah.
Dahan, for instance. What was Ange's bloke again? I've mental blank.
Was it Trolley? Was that the
Trimboli.
guy's name? Aye.
Trimboli. So him. And then, so you'd have that. And then you have the City Group where we've done well getting players out of there in the past as well. So those would be things that you would normally look at. We don't have those because as much as couldn't stand the guy and they want him out the door, who was the main person with the Dudu Darhan connection and the Citigroup connection, which also the Citigroup also led to Ange? That was Peter
Yeah,
Lawwell.
yeah.
So with him out the door, you don't have any of that. You don't have those connections. So what are you left with? You're left with a wing and a prayer and trusting your board that's actually going to do something when the board's trying to cut the wage bill, not actually spend more money.
Meanwhile, our dithering has pissed off so many agents and clubs that the market that we can actually go to is shrinking by the day.
Yeah, because these people, and it's not just, it's with any job, Liam. Like, let's be honest. If I was to go into work and resign,
Mm-hmm.
you want to bow out gracefully, right? Because you never know who at the company you're working with now is going to be in 5, 10 years' time is going to be a hiring manager at another company when you're looking for work again.
Yeah,
Now, if
yeah.
you're pissing off clubs like all throughout Europe, mucking around, low ball, and I'm doing this, you never know where those people, if there are clubs that have got a good setup and a good process, you never know where those people are going to end up, but they are going to get promoted over time into higher roles at other clubs. And
Mm-hmm.
then what happens? They've had a bad taste of dealing with you in the past, so they'll see Celtic ring and they'll be like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. The reputational damage takes a long, long time to work out because you can't even say, "Oh well, we've got a new, there's a new regime, whatever." People don't care about that. All they remember is the last time they dealt with your company, they got screwed over. So
They'll just be like,
it's
well, you got a new setup, prove it's different.
uh,
If they're getting an offer from us at 4 million for a player, and then they're getting an offer from another club at 3.8 million for a player, but then they know dealing with the other one, they'll make a decision quickly. They'll sign the player so then they can go and spend the money to get their replacement in already.
mm-hmm.
They'll take a 200 grand hit on it to get so they can get things done and actually move things along rather than being held to ransom by us haggling over 100 grand
Yeah.
in future fees, which is what we do.
Aye, and that haggling inevitably ends up costing you more because you just, clubs get tired of it and they're like, okay, well, that player you were going to buy for 6 million is now 9 million. Pay up or bugger off, basically.
Cough, cough. What's his name again? Arnie Engels. Cough. We could have got him for about 8. If the
Yep.
rumours are right, 7 or 8 million, I think it was. And we thought,
Adamida we could have got for about 5.
yep.
Um, yeah.
And what was his name? And there was the other, and Trusty, same deal.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, the knock on effect of that, how much pressure has that put on Engels, the fact that he's our record signing? Would he be under as much scrutiny as he has been if we'd got him for like 6 or 7 million as opposed to 12?
I'll go one better, Liam. It's not even that. It's the fact that we throw the money out to get him. We bring him in as a record signing, but then suddenly we're like, oh, we don't want to spend that again.
Yeah.
It kind of defeats the purpose. Like, if you spend 11.5 million on him, bring him in. Ideally, what you should be doing is going, okay, he's in the club. We've got him on a long-term deal. We're going to have him for 2 or 3 seasons, then we're going to sell him anyway. So we know that's an asset that's going to develop and come on. We're going to bring in double to triple the money we spent on him. Great. Let that happen. Now let's spend the same money again the next season or a little bit more again on another player, whether it's a centre half or a striker, to do the same thing with. That's what clubs like
Mm-hmm.
Brugger and them are doing. They sell a
Yep.
player for 25 million. They spend 12 million, 13 million on a striker. And then they get another guy in to be the replacement so that production line works. That's what we need to do. We've been talking about that for
See, that
years.
that's the problem. I mean, we wouldn't mind these big players getting sold if it was being reinvested properly. But look at last summer, right? Nicholas Kuhn goes for what 17 million, and his replacement. Now Benjamin Yegren's been a good player, but the fact that we get his replacement for 1.8 million, it's like, guys, like it's not a good look. If you're going to spend, if you're going to sell that kind of money, bring that kind of money in, you've got to I'd say at least half of it has to go back into trying to get a replacement, you know?
But the thing is, Liam, Nigrin's not even Kun's replacement. Kun was a right winger.
Yeah.
Nigrin's a 10. If we're being completely honest, who was the last player who could play in the 10 and as an 8 for us? Whose position is that? Realistically, that's a Matt O'Reilly replacement to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again,
So,
12 months down the track, we're replacing a player like what we did with Kyogo. O'Reilly leaves, we finally bring in a guy to replace him in, like, now with Nigrin. Yang is basically stepped up into that role on necessity because we had no one else.
yeah.
Yang's not
Yeah.
the
And
answer though to be Kun's replacement. He's a good option off the bench. That's what he should ideally. That's what he should be.
Yang has done really well this season because he's been consistently half decent throughout the whole season, I think. Without ever being like our best player, I think he has had a solid season. You know, even when Wilfred Nancy was in, Yang was the one guy whose performance didn't drop off a cliff, you know?
So ever since Martin came in the first time, Yang stepped it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what we'll do, I think the easiest way, quickly talk about the goals in the game. Their penalty, fair enough, my
Yeah.
opinion.
Can't argue with it.
Unnatural position. If it was the other way around against us, I'd be dirty on it, but fair enough. Our
I'd go
first
further
goal,
and say he was actually lucky not to get red carded. Because
it's a double jeopardy rule. It's the only reason he didn't.
yeah, because that shot's going in the net if it doesn't hit his hand, I think.
If he was on the goal line and he didn't have the goalkeeper behind him, it had to be a red. Double
Yeah.
jeopardy doesn't apply. Because he was in front of the keeper, he's still behind it, then double jeopardy applies. So a penalty in a yellow is a worse thing than getting a straight red. Like getting being a man
Right.
down for the rest of it, and that's pretty much my understanding of it.
Yeah.
But it's just one for me. Like I have no problem with that penalty. Their Ranger who celebrated is an absolute idiot, but he scores a lot of goals. And
That
yeah,
boy fell out the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down, didn't he? Oh,
I've got some comments, but yeah, let's just say that if someone randomly told me he was related to Maggie Thatcher, I wouldn't question it.
if somebody told me he was related to his own sister, I wouldn't question.
One for the Australians. If someone told me he was from Tasmania, I'd just go, yep, cool. Love you, Tassie. Just joking. There's actually good people down there. It's just a good laugh. But
For people from Lanarkshire like me, Twecker is an appropriate approximation. I think people from Twecker.
fair enough. I'll just nod my head and go, straight over my head, that one.
Yeah, it's Twecker is a wee village that has got all sorts of rumours about it down the years, from inbreeding to Satanism. It's all supposedly happened in Twecker at some point.
Fair enough. Yeah. Our first goal, it was ugly, but it worked. The last goal for the game, like that just proves Martin O'Neill, those subs that he made, bringing them on, Sriracha, the cross into Iheanacho, impact subs. That's good. We haven't had that off the bench happen much this season. Subs come on and make an impact, like a couple of them linking up. So yeah, I was happy with that. But then after the back of that, just that dicking around, kicking the ball everywhere. Come on, guys, put the laces through it, please. You're gonna give me heart palpitations or something. Seriously, I knew we'd won the game, but it was still frustrating at that point because I'd watched the game after having already known the result. Wow.
Yeah. But
So,
yeah,
yep,
as
go on.
McLaughlin in the comments has just said, the crazy thing is we could be top of the league by next weekend. That's
And that's exactly where I was just about to go, because Heavy Vibes early on in the episode said, how the race is back on track. And then Robert Gibson saying, I just want to say this season is bullshit.
Oh, I've not seen you for a while, Robert. Is Palmer still a prick? Just checking.
No, he's never been a prick. He's a wanker.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right. Sorry. Get my vernacular wrong there.
Come on, mate. Lift your game, Liam. You're out of practice, sir. Yeah. So I'm just going through some of the comments here. Ah, my missus is saying, "How, lads, and good to see you back on the pod, Liam." There you go.
Thank you.
Here you go, Robert Gibson. Kenchvara couldn't score a hat-trick against 12-year-old girls.
Donald Trump could, allegedly.
Yeah, so just looking at some of the comments, it's a bit like that. But yeah, looking at
Yeah.
the table, Liam, it's like we got one game left in the split, and there's 3 points in it across the run there. So like Hearts is 1 point ahead of Rangers, and then we're 3 behind Hearts, 2 behind Rangers. Goal difference is the killer for us because Rangers are on plus 32. Hearts is on plus 28. We're on plus 23. Even Motherwell's got a better goal plus. They're on plus 25, but they're 10 points behind. So yeah, I'm just looking at it going. We get through the weekend's game coming up against St Mirren, and then yeah, it's all there to play for, really.
We need
So
to get to a point where goal difference doesn't come into it because I don't see us making up that goal difference in 6 games.
well, what we'll do, well, I'll just have a quick jump on it now, Liam, while I've got the table here. So realistically, top six at the moment is just looking at the points. See if there'll make much change. It doesn't look like there's much chance of change here. That's not going to change. There's 9 points of difference between 6th and 7th. So
Aye.
it's going to be Hearts, Rangers, us, Motherwell, Hibs, Falkirk. That's your top six. We have 3 home games. Rangers and Hearts will be at home. And then probably, I think they're saying, what is it, Falkirk at home. And Motherwell and Hibs away, I think, is what we've got off memory.
I'd rather have one of them at home if possible.
It's going to sound weird. I actually don't mind. You know why? Both Motherwell and Hibs have got nice pitches, and they both want to play football.
Good point, actually. Yeah, I forgot about the artificial pitch at Falkirk. Yeah.
I'd rather have Falkirk at our place, Hearts and Rangers at our place, and then you can go down you can go across to Hibs or Motherwell and play on their pitches, which are nice quality grass where they'll actually play, and yeah, it'll be good. So Andrew Glee is saying top 3 will drop points to the others in the split.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's winning the last 5 games. I don't see any of the teams doing that.
Yep. And then Heavy Vibes are saying if we lose the league on goal difference, God help the board, eh?
If we lose the league full stop, the board, well, I mean, the board should be hounded anyway for this even being a competition.
McLaughlin's saying Easter Road, the midweek game, and I think we'll have Falkirk at home last day. They're not going to give us Rangers or Hearts in the last game of the season at home. No chance. On potential trophy day if we were to win it. No chance. They're going to want to have the 3 of us all playing at home if possible, if it's still there to play for.
This is the thing because they've always coordinated it with Celtic and Rangers, but now that there's Hearts in there as well, I don't know if they can work that. I don't know if their whole thing of trying to gerrymander the league so that we can't celebrate by beating the Huns is actually going to work out this year, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
But that's another thing, right? Just to go on a wee rant here. Why is it that Scotland is the one country in the world where you don't want your biggest clubs having a showdown for the title on the last day? You know, why is it that why do we go so out of our way to avoid something that would be a fantastic marketing tool for, yes, there would be bedlam in the streets, but that's on the police. They should deal with it.
I was going to say, because of the wee Neds in the street and alcohol and the hooliganism is, fuck out of here. Seriously, let them play and then deal with all the shit. Get the cops if they want to get involved. Don't get involved in the stadium. Deal with it outside the stadium. Let football fans come together. So There you go, heavy vibes as well. Only league in the world that hates last day drama.
Exactly.
We don't want another helicopter Sunday or Saturday or whatever it would be this time around. But
Yeah.
McLaughlin's saying this is what he thinks it'll be. So Motherwell away, Rangers at home, Hearts at home, Hibs away, Falkirk at home.
That would make sense. Aye.
And
That
then
would
he
make sense.
and then he's also said you could flip Hibs and Motherwell around if need be.
Aye. Yeah.
And then you've got Inner Hype is saying Hearts v Hibs, Celtic v Hearts, last game would be incredible.
Oh, aye.
Hang on, Hearts v Hibs and Celtic versus Hearts.
I think you mean Celtic
Huns,
versus the Huns. Aye. Aye.
Hearts v Hibs, or do you want to go Huns v Hibs and Celtic versus Hearts last day? Because that'll work as well.
Well, either way, that gives you your drama, doesn't it? And you
It,
can put one of the, Celtic or Rangers in Edinburgh, so they're out the way.
yeah, so it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll some options there. But yeah, Liam, I said, do we have are strikers all rubbish, or was it a a formation problem? And why I'm saying that, and what I wanted to come back to is we're going to get into the squad thing that you mentioned early on in the pod, right? In a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But so before we dive in, I just want to have a think on it from this regard. If you look at our lineup, Martin O'Neill last time, like when he had got us to Seville, what formation were we playing?
3-5-2.
And he had two big bastards up top, didn't he? Or he had, or always at least had one big bastard who could link up, whether it was Hartson or Sutton, come in, lead up, win the ball, flick it on, or play it on, and then they'd turn and make their runs to the box, right? Trying to play Larson in. Now, you've seen Maeda playing in Japan. How good does he look playing in a 2?
Brilliant.
He does that for the Japanese team. That's where I've seen it.
Yep. His best form prior to coming to Celtic was his last season at Yokohama, where he was the joint top goal scorer. I believe he finished the season on 16 goals. But the guy who was joint top was, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a Brazilian who was his strike partner at Yokohama. The two of them got 16 goals each, and Yokohama won the league that year.
Yep.
So, aye. Same with Shvanchara. If you look back, his best goal scoring season was as part of a 4-4-2. So,
and that's exactly where I was going to, because I'm looking at Kent Transvara, and I can never say his name the same way twice in a row, right? So there's no chance I'm ever going to have a Beetlejuice issue with him ever in my life. If I say that 3 times, I'm not going to, he's not going to rock up or whatever. But looking at it, he looks, in my opinion, he looks like I think he does good work in leading up, giving a target that we can play the ball to, and then even if he doesn't have to, and then the ball goes to our wingers a lot of the time, we don't actually find him. But when the ball goes wide, he then can then turn and make his runs to the box. So what I'm thinking is, if with what we know about Maeda's playing in a 2, and then if you put someone like Kensvara as a target man, or you put Iheanacho in as your target man, it would still work.
Yep.
Now, then what that does is, how do you change your middle of the park? Well, I want Nigren playing in a 10 full time. So it's pretty simple. If you've got Ox, Kelmac, Nigren as your midfield 3, the question from there off the back of that is, are we going a 4-4-2 and we're going to find another midfielder? Or are we going to switch it up and go to that 3-5-2 with your wing-backs? Because Yang can play a wing-back. He didn't like doing it, but he can. You have a look on the other side. You've got, if you go left, you can play Tierney on the left side of a back 3 and have Srirachi getting more game time.
Dyson did it for Japan last week as well. Played left wing back.
I've got another option. Right wing back. We know Rio can play that role if need be. And he's smart. He's a smart enough player to play that role. So just throwing ideas out there, like, what are you thinking? And let us know in the comments, because our strikers, I think they need to play as a pair. The ones we have at the club in a one-man standalone striker system, it ain't working. for the split, do we want to have something a little bit different up our sleeves like that to come and throw at teams like Hearts, Hibs, and the Huns? Those three teams in particular who are going to be sitting there ready going, oh, if they've got one striker, we'll just manage and mark him out of the game and then they're rubbish. Do we have that option up our sleeves? I think Martin would be clever enough, but do you think we would do it?
I think we should, but I don't think we will, for the simple reason that I don't see. If Martin O'Neill was going to make that change, he would have done it when he came back in January.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's
what I
too
think.
late now to change things up.
Yeah,
We just
I,
need to hope that we've got enough to get this over the line.
I think we've had to. I'm only throwing this out there for a topic because it was discussed in our group chat. I've seen it discussed in other chats. I mean, so a lot of people are talking about it, especially after how bad we were in the second half with their link-up play to our forwards and everything. But
Mm.
the only reason I'm saying that is I think there's multiple issues with different formations. And Andrew Galea and Heavy Vibes in the comments here are already picking off one. If we went to a 4-4-2, we lose our wing play in a 4-4-2 because we don't have a proper six to cover in when the fullbacks push up.
Yeah,
So that's part
yeah,
of it. And then the other thing that Heavy Vibes is saying is we don't have the power for a 4-4-2 in the middle. If Engels
no,
was fit, I think we'd be okay. We'd be able to cover that off. But we need a Wanyama type if we're going to go to a 4-4-2. Now, I
yeah,
love, to address Andrew Galea saying the 4-4-2, I love a 4-4-2 diamond midfield.
mm.
I like that sort of lineup where you can have the ball sides, have the balls out on one side, on like say your right hand side where you have a right winger on it, your left winger tucks in the middle to clog it up as like a second 8, and then they can still make their back post runs and stuff like that further on. So I like that sort of thing that which offsets the wing play to a certain extent.
yeah. And Sarachi would be tailor made for that, given his defensive qualities.
Yeah, and you can let him
You know,
bomb up and down a bit, and then you've got KT who can just pop up and go for a little wander when he feels like as well, if
hmm,
need be.
yeah.
So you've got
I
those.
definitely like the idea of playing Sarachi ahead of Tierney, however we make it work, whether it's 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. I like the idea of having both of them on the park.
But then the question, and as McLaughlin saying, only two in there leaves us wide open. Negrin being detached from the midfield allows that to happen anyway. Yeah. So then you get to your next one, which is I'm going to say the 3-5-2 formation. If you're going to have Tierney, Scales, and would you have Trusty or Arthur?
Prob- Excuse me, probably Trusty. I would go with
Yeah.
Trusty just on experience.
So if
You
you've
know,
got those three as your back three, then on the right, well, we don't. If we had a Rahau still at the club, that'd be perfect in as a right wing back.
yeah.
Alistair Johnson's back training, but apparently he got hurt with Canada.
Mm.
Don't know what's happened there. I haven't heard actually what the injury is. I don't know if you've got anything, Liam.
It's just it's nothing serious apparently. It's just a precautionary. It's probably going to put his comeback back by about 10 days, I reckon. So
Okay. So you're not going to bring him in from the cold and just go wing back, just bomb up and down.
yeah,
So realistically, that'd put Donovan there, which would get him a bit more space, and then you put him
mm.
on the out left. So you got to play the bricky out there. Yeah, no thanks. I'd put Rio at right wing back in this
Yeah.
situation, and then on the left you got Sirachi. There you go, that works. So that could happen, but then where does Yang get a game? Yeah, and
Mm.
then Heavy Vibes are saying three centre backs playing, not for me. That just gives us more of an excuse to pass it across the back, doesn't it?
Well, there is that issue.
And the other thing is if you do that, then you're inviting more teams on to press you, which ties into what McLaughlin's team comment here is saying Ange's team versus this team would cut us open in 3 passes. The press alone, with the way
Mm.
we are with the players we got at the back pressing us, like I wouldn't want to go with a back three like a 3-5-2 against Motherwell, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's
I mean,
no
yeah,
matter what
high
you
intensity is what we need, and our team at the moment is just very low intensity. That's the problem.
yeah, so no matter what we do, it's going to open up. There's always further issues. It's like, do we change the formation and go the 4-4-2? We don't have a 6. and we lose wing play, do we go a 3-5-2 to get two up top? But then what are we doing? So there's many questions. This is why I'll just sit here and play Football Manager and talk shit on a podcast and let the people on the big bucks figure it out. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So back to my initial question, Liam. Are our strikers shite, or was it the formation? After that conversation, what do you think?
I think we're not getting the best out of our strikers by not playing two of them. I I don't know how good they actually are because we're not just looking at the face of it. Yeah, you could say they're shite, but we're not actually seeing the best of them at the moment because they're not being played in a formation that suits them. So
Yeah,
you can't really make that judgment at the moment, I don't think.
yeah, fair enough. I agree with pretty much most of what you said there. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one there. So what we'll do is we'll jump into the squad. So early on in the pod, Liam, you said you want players who are either starting or gonna be capable of challenging for that starting spot at the club.
Mm,
Otherwise, I'll move on. So we'll go through our squad.
yeah,
I'm just going to read the squad. I'm not going to bring this up on the screen because I'll
yeah,
probably butcher it and I'll look terrible on the screen anyway. So,
mm,
so goalkeepers, clearly, well, Casper's done, let's be honest.
yeah, yeah. Especially with Denmark not making the World Cup now, I
Yep.
think he's going to quietly retire, which is a shame.
Sinisalo was obviously his starting level as far as I'm
Mm,
concerned.
yeah,
And then Ross Doohan, what's your thoughts there?
Doohan's good enough for Scottish League level, so yeah. As long as we can keep Sinisalo fit for Europe, I'd be happy to run with those two as our main goalkeepers and possibly promote a youth keeper.
Correct, exactly what I'm thinking. Like, I don't see much point bringing in a third stringer. I think Doohan's good enough to challenge Sinisalo domestically and cover for him there. But if we're going to if push comes to shove in Europe, if Sinisalo's out, we've got to start Ross Doohan. Oh God, give me the fear.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
So I'm going to
but
look at the.
hopefully we're good enough that the goalkeeper alone doesn't isn't a deciding factor there.
So I'm having a look at the B team, and we've got Aidan Rice as a young keeper there.
Hmm.
Now, apparently there's some decent raps on him from what I've heard, but yeah, I think he's a few years away. But if he's going to be your young goalkeeper, he's just turned 18,
Mm.
saving penalties in back-to-back UEFA Youth League matches. There you go. Someone who can save a penalty. Okay, make him our third stringer. There it is.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, definitely. I think goalkeeper situation's pretty self-explanatory. Defense, Alistair Johnson.
I hope we can keep him, but I've got a feeling that if he does have a good World Cup, we'll get a big offer for him.
Yeah, that's what my thoughts are as well. Do you want me to lump the next three together as centre backs?
Go on then.
Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers.
In an ideal world, I would replace all three of them. Carter Vickers has got the quality, but his injury record is just he's I don't I think it's one of them that he's never going to be, a reliable full season player. And yeah, Scales can't fault his effort, but I think for Europe we need an upgrade. And Trusty is too inconsistent and too temperamental. Picks up too many stupid red cards.
So I'm going to agree with you on Carter-Vickers because of the injury stuff. I think he's at that point where he's probably got
Mm.
one big move left in him for his bank balance as well. So he'll probably, if say Rogers or someone like that came for him from Saudi, it wouldn't shock me if he went down there.
Yeah.
Trusty, I don't know how I feel about him, honestly. Some
Mm.
weeks I think he's a great player for us. Other weeks I'm like, who is this guy? I'd rather bring back Simonovic
Yeah.
or Dedrick Boyata over him. Liam Liam Scales is the question mark for me. Can we get the Liam Scales who has won? Because as you said, we need better for Europe. But can we get the Liam Scales who has been man of the match in 2 Champions League games for Celtic in the last 18 months?
And it's been outstanding for Ireland on several occasions as well.
Exactly. If we can get that player consistently week in, week out for us, I
Yeah.
would keep him. And I'd be
Mm.
happy to keep him. And I could even potentially see him one day wearing an armband.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
However, if we get the one we've had most of this season, then I have questions and I want
Mm.
better. So it's kind of a hard one for him because I look at it, there's a potential club captain there, there's a potential European quality centre back there. But are we getting enough of that? Are we getting enough out of him to justify keeping him around for getting those blips from him, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 games like we're getting this season instead of every game or 3 out of every 4 games?
Mm. Yeah. Well, I would certainly not have an issue with keeping him around as part of the squad. I think he's earned that at least. Um, I'm just saying, in an ideal world, we would have two better centre backs ahead of him.
Yeah, no, in an ideal world, it's supposed to be Carter Vickers and Trusty playing right and left centre back.
Yeah.
That was actually the plan, and Scales was supposed to be the backup.
Mm.
Hasn't happened. Now, the next one is injured, absolute menace. Julian Araujo, I know he's on loan. If Alistair Johnson has a blinder of a World Cup, and if the rumours are true, and that the club don't want him anywhere near us because he swings on poles and, you know, grabs his nuts in front of bloody people and stuff at Ibrox, like, I'm all for that. Like, sign the guy up. We need a bit of
We've
mentalness in your team. We
we've
haven't had
not had that since Arthur Boruc, I would argue.
exactly,
You need that loose
exactly.
cannon. Yeah.
Mikkel Lustig is the closest we have come.
Mm.
When we
Mm.
first signed Lustig, he was a little bit nuts like that, and then he matured and calmed down a bit. But honestly, like, that is what we need. If
Yeah.
if Johnson moves on, that's who I would be signing as his replacement. If you get 20
Mm.
million for Johnston, for instance, off the back of a World Cup, 10 million of Bournemouth are how done. You know you're not going to lose anything in terms of talent on the pitch as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think that's if I hope Alistair Johnson doesn't go, but if he does, that definitely softens the blow. If you say, right, okay. I mean, if Celtic had their PR right, it'd be like you announce Johnson leaving one day, then you announce Araujo the next day. That's just that would just be the right way to do it.
Well, remember when Johnson came in? We announced Johnson's signing. 2 days later,
Yeah.
we let Juranovic go.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. That
That's how
is
big clubs work.
yes.
So then you got Srirachi on loan. I would love to keep him.
Mm.
I think he does well. He fits in. He does well. Every time I see him, I'm impressed. But I would understand if he didn't want to come back and stay at the club because he might want more for his career rather than having a backup Tierney.
He's not being used properly. There's rumours floating around just now, which I don't know to believe or not, about us going for Andy Robertson in the summer.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Um, and the question is, well, how do you accommodate him and Tierney? I would say forget Andy Robertson and work on accommodating Srirachi and Tierney in the same team.
Yep,
Um,
I would agree because
yeah,
we got. What was the biggest complaint we had about Greg Taylor? He was too small,
yeah,
and now you're looking to bring in Andy Robertson.
mm, yeah,
Next
yeah.
one,
It's
yeah,
not.
Benjamin Arthur. I'd keep him on loan for another season. I've
If
seen
the
it.
option was there, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
I've seen enough there to think, okay, there's no way we'd be able to sign him permanently, but he'd be a good enough option to be a backup and
Mm.
start a domestically backup for us if we need to in Europe.
Now the thing is, Araujo only signed for his current club last year, so wouldn't he still have a couple of years on his deal? So is there an option to extend his loan by a season, maybe,
I'd
as
actually
well?
would be like that's something I said when I was on here with Ian a couple of weeks back. I think I was on with Ian and
Mm.
Shane, and I said that for both him and Arthur. Those would be the two I'd look if we couldn't sign them permanently, extend them.
Yeah.
Next one, here we go. Now we get into our Scottish boys in the back line. So
Mm.
Dane Murray, what are you thinking there?
Nah, sorry, no harm to him. I think he'll do well. He'll have a good career, but I don't think it'll be at Celtic. I just think he's not quite there.
I think he needs a Chris Eye loan before we make a judgment call on him. He's got the right frame, the right build,
Mm.
but I think he needs to go to like a middle tier sort of club in Scotland for 6, 12 months, toughen up a bit, play him regular week in, week out, and then we can have another look at him before we completely cross him off the list. But yeah, I think he's got all
It
the
worked for
attributes.
it worked for Liam Scales, so aye.
He's got
Yeah.
he's got the attributes, but he's not going to get the game time he needs to turn those attributes into actual productivity on the pitch at Celtic.
Mm.
And I'm the exact same with Colby Donovan as well for him. Those two both need that 12, 18-month loan out within Scotland to toughen up. Or I said Donovan, even go to Belgium. Same for Murray. Those two, they both need that move.
Yeah, yeah, I would
That's
say
before
so.
that's before we cross them off, sell them.
Mm.
Anthony Ralston, we discussed early on. He's got such a 1980s, early 1990s haircut. It's funny as, but yeah, look, I don't know. What do you think on that one, Liam?
Um, I said before I'm not comfortable with keeping players that are happy being squad members, and I think Ralston is. But I also think he's a good backup. So it's like, I mean,
It's a tough one, isn't it?
again, ideal scenario, you have Araujo and Johnson, and then Ralston can go. But I think it's going to be one or the other with Ralston as the backup, realistically.
Yep. And then we've got Kieran Tierney. Enough said.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
So now I'll scroll down to our loaned out players and just go through our defenders. So we've got Hayato Inamura. No thanks.
Not coming back, and it's a shame because there's a player there. We've wasted him completely.
He would have been perfect for us in a left wing back situation. If we went to a back three, he would have been perfect sort of player for us.
Yeah.
And we've got Stephen Welsh. Time's up, mate. Just make your move. Stay at Motherwell. Well,
Aye.
3 winners part of the Mawanasi or whatever it is, deal or whatever it is. But yeah, I think his time's up. Adam Montgomery, time's up.
Yeah.
And the only other
Montgomery
one,
has made that loan that we talked about, and it hasn't really. He's not caught fire like we hoped he would. So.
Montgomery's gone out on the Ralston loans where he's gone out and done nothing at multiple clubs on loan, but he
Yeah.
hasn't come back to break through with us, and he hasn't gone on after that and broken out anywhere either. So he's at the point where I'd let him go, and if we're going to bring back another Scottish player who came through our academy, he can go, and we'll bring Calvin Miller back to the club. Perfect. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah, that would work.
The only other defender on loan is Mike Narowski. From what I'm hearing, he's doing well in Germany.
I think it's very much going to depend on who our manager is next season, what kind of setup he wants to use. If there's a role in the team for a no nonsense, just rose it every time centre back, then Narovski's your man. If it's playing the ball out from the back, then no. But I like Narovski. I don't think he's put a foot wrong. I think he's one of those guys that just Brendan Rodgers had this with certain players. He just didn't fancy him, and it never worked out. And Narovski never got a shout. Not quite to the same extent as Inamura, but a similar situation. When he played, he looked all right, but he didn't play often enough.
It's the same with Lagerbielke. Let's be honest. Look what he's doing for Sweden.
Yeah, Another one that's going to the World Cup after
Yeah, exactly.
being a flop at Celtic. Yeah.
So I'm looking at it going, both of those guys, I think, as you said, Liam, it's going to depend on who our manager is. Because if our manager looks at it and goes, okay, I want big, strong players, I want physical specimens, and I don't necessarily care as much about speed,
Yeah.
then fine, there's a position there for Naroski. But that was his problem for him. And Brendan's issue with Naroski and Lagerbelke, he said they were too slow.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have identified that as being an issue before you signed them then? Yet again, it goes back to our stupid scouting team, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's where the whole idea of the manager signs off on every deal. I'm sorry, but
Bullshit.
Inamura, Narovski, and Lagerbielke all just piss all over that idea, because that is three players Brendan Rodgers would not have gone out and signed if it was entirely up to him.
Exactly. So I'll get some comments up here. The squad is going to be different next season.
I think so.
Heavy
Very much.
Vibes are saying, there you go. Keep KT, Srirachi, Kelmac as well. Sell everyone else. Keeps going to
I mean,
sell.
that's the spine. That's the spine of a good team. There, if you are willing to have a complete overhaul.
So the four players there, he's saying that you keep are goalkeeper, a left back, and a central midfielder.
Or a centre back and a left wing back, depending on how you set up.
Yeah. So Andrew Galea is saying CCV, Scales, Trusty all stay. Robert Gibson saying, I like Scales. Every Celtic team must have a ginger. It's an unwritten rule.
Yeah, that's
And then heavy vibes goes, most man of the match awards in Europe for us, Scales has.
Yeah. Yeah, that's aye.
And then Robert Gibson saying, Dane Murray, nope, St Mirren at best.
Well, St Mirren would be the sort of team that he could go to for a year to try and prove himself.
Oh, that's that loan. It'd be a perfect spot for him on that loan, I'm saying. And then Robert's also saying, Ralston, keep him, magnificent hair. And then back to Naroski here, he's saying, Naroski never let us down. Brendan Rodgers didn't like him.
Totally agree. Yes,
And then
exactly.
Andrew Galea finishes off that whole Rodgers chat with, Rodgers was a weirdo. Cool.
It's a strange thing with Brendan Rodgers, actually, isn't it? Now that we look back on it, because why did he ever come back when he knew that the same people were still in place and he wasn't going to get what he wanted a second time? It was.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Because in hindsight, he was pretty much fighting the board from day one to try and get anybody signed.
The first window was absolute shambles. Let's be honest. It was. You can't look at that and go, any of them were Brendan's signings or the ones he would have signed off on. Then the second, and you compare his first window this time around to his first window when he first come in, guys of Dembele, guys of Sinclair, sort of level, and then you compare that to this first time around, it's like, yeah, good fun. But yeah, it was, I don't know why he come back, and that's why Andrew ain't come back. He knows the lay of the land. He's not going to want to punch on with people just to get a... We saw it first time around where he cracked the shits. It was like, he just won't sign players.
It goes back to how many people have Celtic as a business pissed off in the last few years with the way they operate. And I would say that, Ange and Brendan Rodgers could possibly be added to that list,
Yep. So we'll go to the midfield quickly, Liam, and we'll rattle through them. So it's a pretty short list. 7 players they have here. So I'm going to just go through the ones that I would keep. So Nigrin, I would keep. McCowan, but Bell wouldn't keep him.
Okay.
I think Oxlade-Chamberlain, I'll give him another year. Let's just say you can't be looking at keeping. Like, you need experience. Why not? Arnie Engels, I think he'll get his big move in the summer. Some club will come in with ridiculous money.
Yeah.
So we've got to replace him. Paolo Bernardo, I don't know what's going on there. There's an enigma wrapped in a quandary. with the question mark over the lot of it. It's just,
Yeah.
that's such a strange one. The curious case of Paolo Bernardo. There's a blog name for you, Liam. Write that down.
Aye.
And then Rio Hatade, I think he wants his move. For the last 3 years, has been wanting one. Kelmack's going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
Fair assessment there. So we'll go to the loan players midfield. Odin Holm, he's just been loaned out again, back to the club we signed him from.
We're not going to see him again.
No,
Poor
he's
boy
done.
has got an injury that's probably going to finish him in a year or two.
He's done. Put a fork in him.
Aye.
And then we get to our forwards, and we have a list of 11 forwards, plus the guys out on loan, which is another 3. So we've got 14 forwards, and we play with 3 of them. So realistically, Jota, apparently he'll be
Yeah.
back soon enough. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Junior Damu, Toodles. As soon as he
Yeah.
cut his
Goodbye.
dreads off, he lost his ability to score the football.
Yeah. Aye.
Balak Wisher, I think he's driving the bus to Lennoxtown every day now, isn't he?
Yeah. Get directly to fuck. Do not pass go. Do not collect a gyro. Just get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Missed the longest neck I've ever seen on a human in Thomas Cantrara. Honestly, that bloke, I don't know. It depends who the manager is.
If we go with 2 up front, I'd like to see what he can do.
As we were saying before, if we're going to go with a team that slows it down and wants to play with bigger, more physical players, you have Naroski come into our back line. I'd keep Cantrara up front as an option, but I wouldn't want him being our main man.
Yeah.
Yang, we almost sold him. He's been, to me, honestly, this is going to sound really weird, most improved player in Scottish football this season.
Yes. Career shirt on today. Yang Gang, paid up member.
Yang Gang
Yes.
representing.
Aye. No, I think he has, in a season where Celtic have mostly been pish, he has been consistently not bad. So, yeah, keep him.
Ihanacho, thanks for everything. 1 year's enough. Goodbye.
I'd give him another year.
I think he was a Brendan. He was a Brendan signing because just to keep him happy. And Liam, I'm gonna just. I don't do this very often on this pod. You'd give him another year, but you said you'd get rid of Carter Vickers because of his injury prone. Are you fucking mad?
Well, but the thing is, right, a striker who's not fully fit could still come on for 10 minutes and score a goal, like yesterday.
Yeah,
right?
mate. I just
A
wanted to point out
defender
the difference.
whose legs have gone is just never gonna cut it. You know, you don't bring on a centre back for the last 15 minutes to try and win a game, do you? You know, that's.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to call out the inconsistency there.
No, I get it. I get it. I just no,
Yeah.
I just think that as an impact sub, I'd have him as part of the squad.
Fair enough. Callum Osmond, absolutely keep.
Yes.
That kid is going to be a star.
Bloody criminal what happened to him getting injured when he did, because he was looking so good.
Sebastian Tenecti, this is a strange one. I think there's a player there in the right system and the right formation with the right players around him. Honestly, if you could...
I'd like to see him as a number 10. I'd like to see us try that. He's got a good eye for a shot. He can move, you know, he's got good movement. I think sometimes he is just wasted out wide. I think he doesn't get the chance to show his full repertoire.
That's like how I felt about Jota coming into this season. Playing him in the 10, but then Balak Wish is also technically a 10. So who knows?
10 out of 100 maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So I look at it, Tenecti, and for me, I think if you were to take him out of this team and put him at a club like Bodo Glimt, where he would have a set role and players around him who play in a set structure and roles, I think he would be an absolute star and he'd be getting sold for 20 plus million.
Yeah, quite possible.
But in this current situation and this current squad, does not work for him.
Remember, Teneki's another one though that again it's going to depend on who the manager is next season, and if he does something at the World Cup, you might get a decent offer for him.
Yep.
You know.
Next one, Liam. Come on, everyone, get ready. Drum roll, please. Joel Mvuka. The silence
I
says it
mean,
all. There you go. We don't need to go any
yeah, it's. I know. Put him in the creche for the kids to play with. I don't know. Like just he's not a footballer. I'm sure he'll be successful in something someday, but it's
I
not
know what
football.
I know what he'll be successful as if he stays at Celtic. If he was to ever have a career at Celtic, he would be the guy inside the Hoopy the Huddle Hound outfit. That's the only way he will be successful at Celtic.
Oh,
Yes, I
aye.
went there. Dazen.
I want him to get back to what he was, but I think he's gone.
Yep.
I think he's off,
I think the
unfortunately.
head's gone. He's had enough. And
Yeah.
Jamesy, do we keep him round just because he's part of the furniture and you need that institutional knowledge? Or do we say, Jamesy, love you, thanks for everything, but go play in the MLS or something?
I think it's like the going back to Rogers' first time, the kind of Colo Toure scenario. I would register him as a player, but use him very, very sparingly and have him more as an old head in the dressing room whose experience would rub off on younger players.
Every club needs that. So I have no
Yeah.
problem with
And
that.
he could do his coaching badges while he's here as well. That would be good.
Imagine he becomes our B team manager one day, our most decorated player out of the youth academy, to then go
Imagine if
and.
we actually had a B team one day.
Yeah, I know, it'd be funny, wouldn't it? So, players on loan, Johnny Kenny.
Thank you, but goodbye, I think.
Kendrick Larson needs to move on. Shin Yamada. Is he even a
I
footballer, Liam? The reason I'm asking is he's absolutely struggling in Germany too. What's he in the second or third tier there?
There are some players who come out of Japan, and unfortunately, we've seen it previously with the likes of Koki Mizuno as well. Players who just they're good in Japan, but they just do not travel. And Shin Yamada is one of those, unfortunately. He just has not adapted to European football at all. And it's not just Celtic because he's went to Germany and been pished there as well. So, Yuki Kobayashi went to Portugal, did reasonably well, and is now playing in Poland at a decent level. So say what you will about him at Celtic, he's proven that he can cut it at European level at a certain point. Yamada hasn't even done that. He's just unlucky that it's just that's the gamble of signing Japanese players is you're always going to get that 1 in 5 who just does not settle abroad, you know.
Yep. And then, well, speaking of the Japanese players, I'm just looking at it now. Underneath the loan player list is an ad on the Celtic website. Now reduced, adult 50 quid, junior 40 quid. No, not another penny. Not buying the home kit. No.
Yeah,
So anyway,
no.
Robert
If you
Gibson.
must have if you must have a home kit, there's a site that begins with D and ends in H gate. That is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Simon from Denny saying Kenny is still our top scorer, scoring striker at the moment with 4 goals.
Oh dear.
And the last one, Robert Gibson, where are ya? Fucking get out of here. Get out of here, you troublemaker. Mafuka will be club captain next season.
Now, is that perhaps a spelling error? Invuka will be clubbed by the captain next season.
The only player we haven't mentioned on that list, just for you, Robert, I left him till last. Your mate, Luis Palmer. Over to you, Robert. Give us the final thought on him. But yeah, we all know what we think on him, right? So yeah, we've got a game coming up on the weekend. We're playing St Mirren. What are your thoughts heading into that, Liam?
Just win it. I don't care how we do it. I don't care if it's pretty. I don't care if it's a 1-0 with a last minute offside penalty. Just win the damn game. Just Do that. That's all I care about right now, is just get these games won.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I just want 3 points in the bag and then a bag of cans as well. That's about it.
Cans are optional.
Depends what sort of cans you're talking about. But yeah, Robert Gibson.
Aye.
Palmer wants another go, apparently. There you go.
I mean,
So,
look, if he comes back and has a good pre-season, why not? You know, if a new manager, new slate, I would get all the loanies back and at least have a look at them pre-season.
there it is. Robert Gibson. I wouldn't let Palmer back in the country. There we go. I just wanted to see that one. Thank you very much,
Oh,
Robert. That
God.
is the best.
Oh,
Where's these
oh
banners?
dear.
I actually have some banners that are set up in here before,
Hmm.
based on Robert's random comments about. There we go. This is the ultimate. This is one of my favourites. Palmer is a wanker. Robert Gibson. There's quotes. The bottom of the screen, it comes up.
There we go. Yeah, get that on a t-shirt.
And then I've got a couple of. Then I got another quote from Shane that I've saved in here while we're at it. The handball rule is a schmozzle. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, we got St Mirren. 3 points. All that matters. Win ugly if we have to. And yeah, we go into the
Yep.
split in a good spot. So yeah, what we'll do, Liam, to wrap the pot up, we'll go to a final thought each. And go from there. So, yeah, you got one ready to go, or do you want me to go first?
You go first. I'll let you have the floor.
Well, it's pretty simple. My final thought is I broke me bloody roadcaster. That's why I got this stupid headset on. Me and Liam are twinning tonight because of it. So it's adorable. Got to fix the bloody thing now. It's going to be great. Anyway, over to you, Liam.
Well, I'm just trying to find something that I had written down earlier. If you give me a moment here. Oh yeah, if you think that you're having a bad day and you think that, you know, your job is shit, it could be worse, right? There was an ad online the other day for a Latin teacher. Must be a native speaker. Just let that sink in.
No,
And then
how?
the first comment is, well, I mean, there's 570 million people in Latin America, so what's the problem?
How dumb are people? Seriously.
We are in the dumbest timeline, mate. We are living
This is,
in the dumbest
you know what
timeline.
this is? The movie Idiocracy is a documentary on Now. It's not an actual movie. It's not a movie. It's a documentary. I'm telling you, it is 100%. Oh, brilliant.
Team
All right.
America was unintentionally one of the most prophetic movies ever made.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate your support as always. Hit the like button. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you all had a great Easter. If you haven't done so, eat lots of chocolate. It's good for you. Well, that's the dietary advice from this bloke over here who's got a nice little beer gut going on. So, you know, get stuck in. Have a good one. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the next show. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.